After weeks of anti-government protests in France, President Emmanuel Macron is kicking off a national debate with an open letter to his country.
Yeah, in the letter, Mr. Macron promised to listen to new ideas, saying, "For me, there is no banned issue. We won't agree on everything, which is normal in a democracy, but at least we'll show we're a people which is not afraid of talking, exchanging, debating."
Still, the president says he will stay faithful to the economic reform agenda that's made him so unpopular with these protesters. 84,000 people marched across France on Saturday. That's up from 50,000 the previous weekend. Let's talk more about this with Erin Zaleski, a journalist based in Paris. Erin, I want you to tell me more about this letter that Emmanuel Macron wrote to the French people in just a moment. But first, tell me about the national debate. It starts this week, supposed to start this week. How's it supposed to work?
That's correct. So the national debate starts this week, tomorrow actually, and it will continue 3 months or 2 months through March, mid-March. And it's basically going to take place in city halls throughout France. And they're going to touch on numerous issues beyond taxes. Macron actually laid out 4 main themes: environmental policies, public finances, democracy, and the organization of the state. So it's various subjects that he's hoping to touch on during these debates.
So it's going to be like town halls? People go to their town halls and address these issues of everyday life and how to organize the country and organize politics?
More or less. It's there's even going to be, in fact, grievance notebooks where people can express their anger and list elements of his policies that are upsetting them and that they feel aren't working. And I mean, this dates back to the French Revolution. So this is an old, long-time tradition.
And the president is kicking all of this off with this letter that's been published everywhere in all the media, newspapers in France, addressed to everybody. Did he get the job done?
That's the question. It's still rather early here in France. So some reaction has come in on Twitter, but again, it's people are still waking up. People are still going to be reading this. The problem Macron is facing is he's facing a bit of an uphill battle for 2 reasons. First of all, there was a poll published on Friday that indicated that 70% of French feel like these debates will serve no purpose. So already he has that against him. The second point is, and he was this is a long letter. This is about 2,300 words. And what a lot of people were waiting for was, is he going to roll back some of his reforms and continue forward with these debates, or is he going to keep them in place and then the debates will still occur? And it seems quite clear that he has no intention of, particularly the wealth tax. There's a certain section of a certain group of economic reforms that the Yellow Vest protesters have been quite vocal in their disagreement with. And one of them was the wealth tax. And he was clear in this letter that that is not going anywhere. So I don't know, I'm not very optimistic on how people are going to receive this.
Look, I want to read a bit of his letter, and as you said, it's a long text, but I chose one paragraph that I think is sort of representative of the tone. It says this: "I know that some among us are unsatisfied or angry because taxes are too high for them, public services are too remote, because wages are too low to live from their work with dignity, because our country doesn't hold the same chances of success depending on where you're from or who your family is. Everyone wants a more prosperous country and a fairer society." To me, this feels like a politician who knows that there is this populist wave out there in the world, Brexit in the UK, Donald Trump in the US, that's just waiting to sweep over France, and he's doing what he can to contain it. Does that feel fair?
Yes, I would agree with you, Cyril. I think that he is trying to contain it. Again, this movement has taken Macron and taken the government quite by surprise. This started a little over 2 months ago as fuel protest, as you know, and then it's it's evolved over time to an anti-Macron, anti-government protest. And there's some protesters, among the Yellow Vest movement that I feel won't be. Nothing short of a Macron resignation will quell the anger.
Look, the whole idea of Macron's campaign, he came in, he was this reformer, and he said, I'm going to modernize France. And specifically, I'm going to modernize the French economy because we've had 10% unemployment for, I was going to say years, but it's actually decades.
Decades.
And he's been in office 2 years now. Unemployment is still hovering at around 10%. Is that ever going to get better?
Well, that's the question. I think it takes, this has been a problem for for decades, as you mentioned, and I think 2 years is not enough time to make a dent in it. I think that he's, again, I'm sorry, I'm misspeaking French. In addition to that, there's been a lot of negative reaction to his reforms. So I think that he's been pushing for reforms to end this. And he mentioned that in his letter, that cutting taxes, here he was referring to the wealth tax, cutting taxes hampers investment in the country. So if there's no wealth tax, he was basically saying that there won't be investment, there won't be more jobs, and the economy will stay stagnant.
All right. We'll see if he gets results in the coming months. Erin Zaleski, thank you so much for joining us from Paris. Thanks.
Thank you, Cyril.
Now, 2 days before a national debate kicks off in France in response to the Yellow Vest protests, Emmanuel Macron has written a letter to the French people. The president says he wants to transfer people's anger into solutions. Macron adding he won't be taking steps back on any fiscal measures his government has undertaken to encourage investment here in France. Now, the Yellow Vest protests drew 84,000 people to the streets across the country on Saturday. The movement has morphed into a rejection of the French President Emmanuel Macron and his economic policies. One of the people looking to capitalize on this anger is the far-right leader Marine Le Pen. She's launched her party's campaign for May's European elections, putting the president on notice. Alexander Orcott reports.
A typically triumphant entrance for France's far-right leader Marine Le Pen, as her National Rally Party launched its campaign for the European Parliament elections. The runner-up in the 2017 French presidential race, she urged voters to use the election as a chance to beat Emmanuel Macron after weeks of anti-government protests.
In the context of the healthy popular revolt of the Yellow Vests, the European election of May 26, 2019 offers a chance to end this political crisis born from the obliviousness, the intransigence and contempt of class, the fiscal robbery and the human disconnection of a president who's disturbing in his attitude, worrying in his behaviour and incompetent in his function.
Incompétent dans ses fonctions. In order to capitalise on the recent anti-government sentiments, the National Rally has appointed 23-year-old party spokesman Jordan Bardella to lead its campaign, as it wants to show that it's helping young people from working-class backgrounds. As well as forging strong links with Marine Le Pen, he's also said to have developed ties with Italy's far-right interior minister, Matteo Salvini.
Depuis un an, for the past year, I've been meeting our allies and future allies across Europe, Italians, Spanish, Austrians and Belgians. And I saw everywhere this same passion, this same desire, this same hope, this same feeling that we are building something together.
The party, formerly known as the National Front, topped the European elections in France 5 years ago and looks set to do even better this year. Polls suggest it will win almost a quarter of all votes, 5 points ahead of Emmanuel Macron's Republic on the Move.
Hi everyone, my name's Mike. I'm the creator of Mox News. And for the last 15 years, I have been telling you that as long as I have the support of the community that I serve, Mox News will post videos forever. And that's the truth. As long as I have your support, no one could ever make me stop. Unfortunately, currently, less than 1/1% of Mox News viewers ever donate, tip, or contribute anything back. Again, let me make that really clear. Much less than 1/1% ever give anything back. And to those of you who have donated to Mox News, I want to thank you so much, because it's because of your generosity that we have been able to bring attention to important videos that millions and millions of eyes would have never seen. And I think that that's an amazing thing that we've been able to make happen together. And I can't thank you enough for helping me make that happen. So it's not too late. If you'd like to see Mox News covering the 2020 presidential election, if you can't imagine the 2020 presidential election without Mox News, please, there's still time. You can make a difference. It's easy to make a contribution, donation, or tip. You can go to moxnews.com, or in the text body of this video, there are clickable links to the Patreon page or to the PayPal page. And again, it should take less than 2 minutes to make a donation, and your donation can make a big difference. So I thank you all. Stay cool. One of these days this war is going to end, and it would be awesome if Mox News could be there to celebrate that day with you.